Hello, class. Today we are going to talk about the proper way to create an equation and to create that equation. Today we're going to focus on the slope-intercept form and also the standard form of a line. First, starting with slope-intercept. What I want to make sure that you understand and notice when we talk about slope-intercept form is that it is y equals mx plus b. That is the standard form of a slope-intercept form for a linear equation. What you need to know is that the m is talking about the average rate of change, which is the same as your slope, which is also often referred to as your rise over run. It's important that you understand and are able to make the connection that all three of those are pretty much the same thing. When you're creating these equations from word problems, a lot of the time it's going to look like average rate of change, or the rate that something changes. And so the more that you understand that, the better you are. You'll be able to create those equations. And B is your y-intercept, which is also your starting point. Whatever you start at typically will be what your y-intercept is, and that is that's how we can always know how to create it and where to go. So right here I have one quick example is where we have y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 5. Now if we were going to graph this equation, the first thing we would want to do is look at our y-intercept. That's always where we start. That's our starting point. So that means that on the y-axis at 5, on the y-axis, we need to go ahead and make a point. So if I look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will put a point there. And then we look at our rate of change, or our slope. Right now our slope is negative 1/2. Now a lot of people want to put that negative sign and assign it to either the 1 or the 2. But the fact is it does not matter. As long as one of those numbers we use the negative sign for, we can only use it for one but not both of them. Now the other thing that we need to know is that when we are looking at our rise, that means that we are going up or down. If the rise is positive, we're going up. And if it is negative, we go down. So, you may want to write right here, if it's positive, we're going up. And if it's negative, we're going down. And then when we look at our run, we're going to say that if it is positive, we go to the right, and if it is negative, we're going to the left. That way we always know which direction we're going into. So right now, because of the size that I've made this particular graph, I'm going to say that right now I want to put that negative sign at the top because I don't have too much further to go up. So I'm going to go down. So I'm going to go down 1, and then because I put this negative sign with the 1, that means that's a positive 2. And if a positive 2 is in the denominator, it means that we need to go to the right. So we're going to go down 1, to the right 2, and I'm going to make a point right there. And now technically, anytime I'm creating a line, I only need 2 points to create the line. So I could go ahead and draw it. Now, I am a terrible artist, so many times I like to carry and make as many points as I can to make sure that I'm as accurate as possible. So I can continue going that same direction just to make sure I increase my accuracy. So I can go down 1 and over 2 again, down 1 and over 2 again. Okay? Now, in the situation where right now I see all my points are in the first quadrant, and just to make sure that everything is as accurate as possible, I'm going to go to the left 1 time. All I have to do is switch my negative sign, because now if I go up, that means that I'm treating it as a positive 1, which means that my negative sign has to go with the 2. So if I have a negative in my denominator, it means that I have to go to the left. So I'm going to go up 1 and to the left 2, and I have a point. Then I will connect all those points. And if I was on some true graph paper and I was a better artist, that would be a perfectly straight line. But as you can see, that is not particularly the case right now. But that is how you create a equation using slope-intercept form, and then also how you graph it. Now we're going to look at standard form. The standard equation for a line is ax plus by equals c. Now, what we need to understand about that is that the biggest thing is that you have your x and your y on the same side. Now, there will be times that you're creating equations that is going to be the natural way to create it is going to have them both on the same side. Particularly when you're talking about maybe two different things happening and their total equals up to something. Now, there's two methods that we can use to graph that. The first one, we can always solve that equation for y and get it in slope-intercept form, and then follow the steps that we just did. A lot of people don't like to do that, but we will do some of that practice in one of our future lessons. But today we're going to focus on the second method, which is just to find the x and the y-intercept. Like we stated when we did the slope-intercept form, when you're graphing a line, you only need 2 points to graph that line. Well, if I find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, that will give me 2 points, and that will be enough to graph my line. So we're doing the example. We have 2x plus 3y equals 6. Now, first thing we're going to do is solve that equation for x. So in order to solve for x, well, anytime I have an x-intercept, I know something about my y value. My y value will always be 0 anytime I have an x-intercept. And that's something you need to write down. It's a very important fact that you need to know. So what I'm going to do is say 2x plus 3 times 0 is equal to 6. So all I did was replace the y value with 0 because I wanted to find that x. So the next thing I'm going to do to finish solving this, 3 times 0 is 0, so I have 2x equals 6. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and we get x is equal to 3. So that means that my x-intercept is 3. So we have to know that this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. So 3, I will put a point right there. Okay? Now I go to this, I'm using the same equation, and now I'm going to solve it for y. So in order to solve it for y, or if I have looking for my y-intercept, I know that my x value is going to be 0. So this time I'm going to replace the x with a 0 and solve for my y. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, so I'm left with 3y is equal to 6. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I have y is equal to 2. Now that I have y is equal to 2, I can come over here on my coordinate plane, and on my y-axis, I'm going to make a point at 2. Now I have 2 points. All I have to do is connect them, and I have graphed my line. So anytime you have an equation, whether it be in slope-intercept form or standard form, you should be able to graph those equations without an issue. But you also should be able to create those equations because I know the parts that make up those things.